So I was originally planning on doing this video yesterday, but the news broke about Jared Bowen's interview with the Evening Standard. Basically, he just said some brilliant things about West Ham and basically feeling like a fan, etc. If you haven't seen the video already, it's from yesterday. Go back and check it out. It's worth having a look, actually, if you haven't, because it's one of those that, I don't know, just makes you feel good. And as I said yesterday, gives that confidence that Jared Bowen is, heading towards a new contract at West Ham, which, let's be honest, we all really want to see happen. So I certainly got the feeling from that interview that that's where this is going, and I've got a bit of a confidence anyway he will, but that certainly made me feel a lot better. But the other exciting news came from XWH employee. Hence why I was going to do that video yesterday. I was quite excited to do it, but then I juggled it up and decided to do the Bowen one instead and do the STEIDTEN one today. So the situation is that Tim STEIDTEN and his team are already really working away in preparation for January. In fact, we've got scouts now across Europe that have been deployed all over looking for potential targets when we get the next transfer window comes in the new year. Now, I've seen some people come back on this news and say, well, so what? That's what you're supposed to be doing. But there's two parts to it. Firstly, I like the fact we're working ahead of ourselves. We're planning properly. West Ham aren't very good at that. We know that. We tend to be quite a knee-jerk side when it comes to signing players at times, and we always seem like we're chasing our tail, much like when we were talking about the summer. I know, don't get me wrong, the summer business in the end has turned out to be very well, but it did feel like at the beginning, didn't it, that we were sort of just chasing around and looking for players, and you're thinking, surely we'd have had this better planned out. Whereas this time round, you get the feeling that Tim STEIDTEN's not going to allow that to happen, that we're going to have a proper plan in place. We know exactly who we're going for, which I think is exciting. But the other part of it that actually excites me more than the fact that we're, got someone in charge that seems to know what they're doing and got a bit more of a forward-thinking approach, is that West Ham are looking to strengthen mid-season. That is something that I think we've lacked for quite some time. I mean, you go back to the season when we finished sixth. That's the season when we got Jesse Lingard and things like that. And you kind of felt that we could have pushed on a little bit more that January transfer window. And the same for the following season, because we started the following season when we were in the Europa very well, very, very strong. And really, we were pushing for top four. We were doing that well in the league. We just didn't strengthen. And I actually look back and think those were the opportunities where we could have kept certain players as well. I think they've just shown some ambition. And it's exciting now that we seem to be moving away from that model of thinking, like, rather than sort of going, more, we're not going to spend much money in January because don't get good value for money, which I do agree with. You don't get good value for money. But I want to see a bit of ambition. I want to see a bit of hunger to go, let's push on. So let's just say, I'm just sort of forecasting here. Let's just imagine that West Ham do quite well. And, we're not forecasting, predicting really. Let's just say we have a strong first half of the season. I want to see West Ham strengthen. I want to see them identify a couple of areas that we can go and push on. And that's what I like to hear. And it does appear now that West Ham are taking that approach, and Tim STEIDTEN is going to be doing that. And we want to say he is doing that. We've got scouts now that are working. And in fact, X has given them some information in regards to the two players that we've identified as potential targets for January. So we understand it that we had scouts at the recent Porto match, and there was two players he was looking at. One, which I'm very interested in more so than ever, is the left back. So we're after a left back called Sansuzi, who's 24-year-old, who plays for Porto. It seems like the club are going to look to offload Aaron Cresswell, whether it be in January or at the end of the season. I don't think that comes to much of a surprise, really, considering what happened in the summer. The player really wanted to move. I'm not going to go over it again, but I do kind of get why he wanted to move. But you just get the feeling now time's come for Cresswell to maybe leave the club. And West Ham wants to strengthen at left back, and that's what we're going to be looking to do. So Sansuzi of Porto is someone that we are looking to bring in, and someone we're targeting. Another one is Taremi, who's their striker, is Iranian striker. Now, Taremi's a very interesting one, actually, because first of all, when I sort of get these names put to me and say, oh, yeah, this is the people we're targeting, I have to look into them. Taremi's 31. Now, although that kind of makes you think, oh, okay, that's not quite as exciting, but the reason I like that is because we're actually looking at getting a player that, one, he's got an incredible goal-scoring record, doing very, very well for Porto, but two, looks like they're going to be bringing in to have an instant impact at West Ham. Like I've just said about that kind of push. So if West Ham are, say, pushing at that point of January, we're 8th or 7th, and we're thinking, look, we really want to try and get into that top 6 this season. That's what I want to be seeing, that West Ham are going to try and strengthen and bring in the players that we need. So I think it's look, it's good news all round for me. I mean, we had the Bowen news yesterday and the STEIDTEN news in regards to our recruitment strategy for January. It's very rare you hear West Ham are planning ahead and West Ham are starting to even identify targets at this stage. I mean, my word, we're in September, so we've got a way to go. And I'm sure there'll be some more names coming out soon. And as I say, West Ham, this news came out regarding these players from ex-WHU employee that was on the West Ham Way Patreon. So if you're not on Patreon, if you haven't checked it out, you do go and check it out. It's patreon.com/the West Ham Way, $5 a month, and you get all this exclusive news plus podcasts and discounts for events and everything else. So if you haven't done so, go and check it out. Yeah, and look, as I say, it's not the most expansive news because that's all we know at the moment. There's a couple of players that STEIDTEN's identified, but it's positive. It's a bit exciting. I feel like, I don't know, if things at West Ham are changing. We feel like a little bit more professional the way we're going about things rather than sort of this knee-jerk scattergun approach. It feels like we're targeting players properly, and I get the feeling that STEIDTEN's impact has already been felt in the summer, and we seem to be getting it already, and we're not even in January yet. So I'm really, really pleased. I was going to do a preview as well on the Lincoln game tonight. So it's a little bit different than usual. Usually we do a bit more extensive preview in terms of lineups and team moves and everything else. But just want to sort of talk about it a little bit briefly here. We're playing tonight, of course, 7:45 kickoff. Great opportunity for us. Let's be honest. I mean, getting the flavour of success that we did last season in terms of winning that Europa Conference League trophy, you look at the League Cup now and you think, come on, West Ham, these are the sort of competitions we should be going all out for, as well as Europa League and the Premier League. But I want to win some more silverware. Lincoln away, it's not going to be easy. It's a tough place to go, League One, but we should have enough. But David Moyes is going to bring the changes. We have heard that there are a few players that haven't even travelled, including Antonio, Bowen, Paqueta, Ward-Prowse, Zuma. They've not travelled apparently with the side. So that gives you the indication that there's going to be some opportunities here for some fringe players and also some youth. I understand it. There are quite a few of the academy players have travelled as well. So great opportunity for them and a great opportunity for our club. We want to progress. And like I've said before, in terms of the Europa games on those Thursday nights, I just think they're a great opportunity for us to get back to winning ways, get that winning feeling back, and give us a bit of a boost ahead of the weekend. So I feel very much the same about this match against Lincoln. I mean, they're not going to take it lightly. We know that. We know what these games are like. I'm so surprised it is not on TV. I mean, Sky usually relish seeing West Ham slip up at these games. So I'm really, really shocked that we're not being televised. But it's not. I think it's on BBC Radio 5 Extra or something like that. You can listen to it. Or I think you can listen to the main, the official website. I think we'll be doing some kind of streaming of not the actual game itself, but in terms of radio coverage of it. But yeah, it's an interesting one because you never know really what you're walking into. Their captain's already come out. The Lincoln captain already come out and said that they're very confident and don't fear West Ham. But ultimately, they haven't had the best starts of the season. They're in League One. You'd like to think we got too much for them, but I'm not going to be cocky because we've seen the slips before and we've seen other teams slip up. Luton obviously lost last night, so. And I'll tell you what, before I wrap this video up, is the fact that there's some other teams, there's a lot of Premier League teams playing each other. There's a big opportunity this for West Ham. This competition, really, we should be taking very seriously. So as much as I quite like the idea that we're resting key players, I think that is important. I don't want to see players get injured ahead of an important game coming up on Saturday against Sheffield United. Because, come on, we want to get back to winning ways in the Premier League fast. We've lost our last 2 games. And it's important we get back in that sort of groove of winning and keeping up the top pack. But at the same time, I don't want to go into this Lincoln game thinking this is field some kids and not take it seriously. I want to take it very seriously. And I think we will. I'm hearing that Kudus is probably likely to start, which would be good. Mavropanos as well. So I think it will be a strong lineup. It'll be a mixture of a bit of academy, a bit of experience, etc. But you'd like to think this is a great opportunity for us. But look, it's been a good week so far, isn't it? Let's be honest. I know we lost to Liverpool at the weekend, but it feels positive about the Bowen news. I do get the feeling that is going to be coming to some kind of positive outcome soon. I mean, that's just my opinion. It's nothing news at the moment, in terms of concrete. But as I've said yesterday, I don't see a player like Jared Bowen saying big comments about his love for the club and feeling like a fan, etc., in the back of his mind, thinking he's off. I just don't see it. I really don't. And of course, the news regarding STEIDTEN, I'm really, really excited by that. I like the fact that we're exploring the market. And here we are tonight. We've got Lincoln away. It's a big opportunity for West Ham. Come on, you Irons, let's go and get the result.